All right, well, the Federal Trade Commission unveiling a new list of recommendations to save journalism, specifically print journalism, which has been steadily losing subscribers in this digital age. But some critics say the proposal is also a way for the Obama administration to control the media, and they call this a direct assault on the First Amendment. Dan Gaynor is the Media Research Center's Vice President for Business and Culture. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Allison. How are you doing?
I'm well. So the FTC has just released this report. It's a 47-page plan called Policy Recommendations to Support Reinvention of Journalism. How does the FTC want to reinvent journalism?
Well, what they've done is they've taken their guidelines from, of course, left-wing sources. You look all throughout that report. There's 47 pages of report, and a lot of it's drawn from a book by a guy named Robert McChesney, who used to run he's a very strident lefty, used to run a socialist website. He's a big fan of Hugo Chavez. They're taking their guidelines from somebody who wants to see our media handled just like it is in Venezuela. Not a good idea.
Yeah, and just to remind our viewers how it's handled in Venezuela, Hugo Chavez famously clamped down on radio stations that he thought were being critical of him or his administration. And I know that some of these liberal groups are worried about hate speech. So what's the difference between being critical and hate speech? Do they define that?
Well, no, and that was a coalition of about 30 different organizations on the left, including Common Cause and La Raza, not exactly known for being conservative or moderate, coming out and asking the government, the FCC in that case, to clamp down on hate speech that they saw on talk radio and, quote, on cable broadcasts. So basically, it's another attack. They're going after talk radio and Fox. And at the same time, the FTC is coming out with these recommendations that you read like you would expect anything from the Obama administration. They mentioned the future of journalism, mentioned the word blog one time in the main text. They mentioned the word tax 83 times. You can pretty much figure out that one of those 5 different tax recommendations they got in there is one of the ways that they want to fund the future of journalism.
So what exactly do they have the power to do here? What makes you most nervous?
Well, what makes me most nervous is they shouldn't even be having these hearings. In the last year plus, we've seen Congress, both houses of Congress, we've seen the FCC, the FTC, they're all trying to get involved in the future of journalism. You look at the Constitution, the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law. It doesn't say Congress shall sort of get involved. The left is talking about trying to get funding for left-wing journalism to the tune of $30 billion a year. That's going to make it almost impossible for more moderate or conservative outlets to ever compete, and they'll hand in glove operating with federal government. It's a horrible idea and should be stopped in a big way very fast. Is there
a warning here for liberals as well? Because it's possible in 2 or 4 years, or I should say 6 years, that a Democrat will not be in the White House, and then there'll be a Republican in the White House, and then these rules will still be in place, and liberals may want to be able to criticize the administration at that time, but the rules may clamp down on them too.
Yeah, that sounds good in theory, but in practice what we've got is something like NPR, which continues to get more than $400 million a year, is left-wing liberal broadcasts around the country, something like 800 stations, and it didn't change when you had George Bush as president. It didn't change when you had Ronald Reagan as president. This is consistent, bureaucratic, liberal radio, and we can expect that if you send $30 billion, the number the left is looking for, to smaller, more independent outlets, they're going to be even more radical.
Dan Gaynor, thanks so much for coming on to tell us about this, because we're not hearing much about it in other media outlets. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, if you want to check out Dan's full opinion piece on this topic, go to foxnews.com/politics. You can also get more details on what exactly the FTC is proposing.